Welcome along to Tweet Street Scotland Occupied, home of the satirical Saltire. I'm Cinnamon Bridges, aka Peter. With me this evening as co-host, we've got Jan. All right, Jan, how are you doing?
Good evening. I'm here. I'm switched on.
Good. It's good to see that you're switched. You're here and you're switched on. And we're here because we've got a guest who has been on the podcast before we were a live stream. We've got Clive Thompson rejoining us. Hi, Clive. How you doing, buddy?
Hi, folks. You all right?
Aye, good. Thanks very much for joining us, mate.
It's all right. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Now, the last time we had you on, we were just at the jail. For I hope you don't mind me being like this, Frank. You were just at the jail because
no, I'm not ashamed in the slightest, mate.
That you had named the accusers on the Alex Salmond trial.
That's right.
So that was a wee bit of a thing to get you on afterwards. And then this time, lo and behold, we're getting you on just after you've been on the radio was it LBC with Nick Ferrari?
Nick Ferrari show in the morning. I just finished the night shift.
Right, well, tell us about it then. Tell us about it, mate.
Well, they were asking for folk to phone up and give them their opinion on the monarchy, and I think it was it wasn't. It was a slimmed down monarchy that Prince Charles, or King Charles as he is now, has been talking about slimming down the monarchy and slimming down the coronation and all the rest of it, as if they were meant to be happy about that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'd phone up and give them a bit of Scottish perspective, which I did. And it went for the original subject, onto how bad Scotland is and how bad drug deaths in Glasgow are and all the rest of it. And then, because he obviously didn't like what I was saying, you know, so he just tried to bring Scotland in, like they always do,
Typical.
He probably doesn't even care where he called Fife a city or Fife a town. Doesn't even know that Fife's a kingdom.
Aye.
You know, that's how much they know about Scotland. You know, they just believe what they want to believe, and again, everything's bad about Scotland. Well, in actual fact, Scottish education is the best performing in Europe, I believe. And Scottish NHS is the best performing in the UK, although it could always be better, you know. But that's not going to happen until we've got all the levers over revenues, shall we say. So it went for the original subject into how bad Scotland is, and you got a couple of other people on. Well, one woman on from Fife allegedly that was pro-monarchy. She didn't really know why she was pro-monarchy, just because she is. So I had a wee bit to and fro with that, and then left it saying that I don't think there's any place for a monarchy in a modern world in 2022. You know, whereby you're there, afforded massive privilege purely because of whose whim you pop out of. You know, so it's wrong.
Aye, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I heard your interview, because you went and posted a wee clip to say that you were going to be going on, or something on to say that you were going on.
Aye.
It was one of the ones where, as I said before, we started going out live. He's the type of person that, because he's strong opinioned and he's quite loud and no fear to try and be dominating to people.
Aye. And this is the Nick Ferrari show, not the Clive Thompson show.
Aye. Right. So that was a perfect example. I couldn't have picked a better one, actually. But you held your aim and you made sure that you got your point across.
Well, that's what it's all about, man.
Aye. Because, well, let's equate it with what we've faced over the past, or the previous fortnight, on the subject that you were on talking about this London monarchy. Because we had it rammed down our throat that
24/7, man. It's still happening. I can't watch the telly or listen to the radio anymore. It's just 24/7 monarchy, God save the king crap, you know, and it's just, can't have had enough of it. It's I mean, I don't have anything against them, really. I just don't think they should exist. You know, if England wants to keep their royal family, let them do it. Just, I don't want anything to do with them. They don't want to pay for them either.
Aye, it's one of the ones that they seem to be trying to make themselves more important than what they actually are. But that's been the case for for decades at least. You know what I mean?
It's terrible. Well, for the very word go away, I mean, a monarchy, let's think about it logically. You know, it's just, nobody should be that privileged and have that much for doing absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? People work for a living, like, I'm assuming you do, like I do, like Jan does. You know, we've got to sort of strive to get there, to get decent things in their life. These people are just afforded all these privileges because of who they are, you know. You get suitcases of money for the royal family in Saudi and all the rest of it, and not a thing said about it. You know, he's trying to slide Prince Andrew back into the fold as well, early Inverness. I'm not very happy about that one, like.
It's a slap in the face to people that that live by the really normalcy, shall we say? When you think, well, no, we live by, it's frowned upon to be doing certain things. It's illegal to be doing other things.
If you're a paedophile and if you're involved in sex trafficking, you should be in jail, You know, no walking down the Royal Mile in Edinburgh as if you're somebody that's got to be respected, you know what I mean? And that young lad got arrested. He's getting charged with breach of the peace. That young boy, Rory.
The boy that shouted, dirty old Andrew, you're a dirty old man.
It wasn't even that bad what he shouted.
No, again,
and he was right.
When you take into account that he never used foul or abusive language. No. Andrew, you're a dirty old man. And that sentence in itself, and said just like that, there's nothing wrong with it.
Jan, it's a democracy we live in,
and it's proven to be the opposite.
Well, there was a few folk in England got arrested too. Somebody for challenging who elected Prince Charles, who elected King Charles. That guy got arrested. And there was another woman in Edinburgh got arrested for holding up a sign saying "Not my king." I've got my "Not my king" sign prepared for next Saturday's march. I hope everybody else has too.
Well, we'll come on to talk about that. Right, Jan, what do you make it? First of all, did you hear Clive's interview with Nick Ferrari?
No, I did not. I missed that.
Oh, I'm black of fun.
I need to catch up.
I'll play a wee clip of it later on, right? And then I'll come on to ask you, because I've no spoke to you. What do you make what we've had the past fortnight or 3 weeks, really?
Well, it's obviously been contrived between governments. I mean, our government's absolutely silent in this.
Oh, it's shocking.
They've decided there's one narrative and it's monarchy all the way. It's all union jackery and, allowed to speak out of turn. It's this Americanized patriotism. We're supposed to be flag waving. It's just abhorrent. It's a million miles away from democracy. It's getting imprinted upon us. I hate it.
Yep. Me too.
If we've got a monarch, then that's the start of the hierarchy, and we're stuck with the establishment. Everything's to suit the establishment. Yep. All the land's held in perpetuity. They get a cut off of damn well everything in perpetuity. So everything they're getting is out of somebody else's pocket. No getting to live a fuller life because of this greed.
Yep. She's the Queen had enough money to pay off the national debt, end poverty, end homelessness. Yep. What did they do? She tried to claim money to do up Buckingham Palace for some kind of poverty fund, I believe. They're just no normal people, and they've no place in this society, in my opinion.
She could have enshrined the NHS.
Yep. Totally. Instead of trying to ruin it.
A terrible government, but she didn't.
I think we're at a stage where
Peter,
go.
Can I say our worst crime of all is enacting legislation against refused consent of Scots.
Yep.
That's where the crime is.
Well,
that's what's going to free us eventually.
Well, Clive, what's your thoughts on that, actually?
Well, there's a big thing happening just now called Salvo with Sarah Salyers, who seems like a very intelligent lady. I think she's working with Alba and various other people to go down the sort of historical dissolving the Treaty of Union, and we can dissolve that apparently. We can walk away from it. It was never ratified in the first place, apparently. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but there's a big thing happening on the 5th of November. Salvo on YouTube are bringing out this video on their Salvo YouTube channel. Everybody should watch it, and it's very interesting. She's got a legal background, I think. She's an ex-professor, and apparently we can dissolve it anytime we like. We just need the political ability to do it, and that's what's failing us all just now.
Well, funny you should mention that. I'll skip ahead to next week. You'll be able to find out a wee bit more about that. Well, next week we're going to have on Dave Llewellyn to talk about.
Indy Ranger.
To talk about the very thing that Clive was just mentioning there, right? So let's get back to this week's news.
Okay.
Right?
Sorry for digressing.
You're all right. We're going to come on to it, right? So, Salvo, if you've not heard of Salvo before, liberation.scot is where you need to be going to register for the liberation movement. Scott Salvo, at Scott Salvo on Twitter, at salvo.scot. I'll share the link later on. There's a wee video clip that they put out earlier on in the week, and then again there was an updated one that they put out today. So
it's really good.
What I'm going to do is we'll do a wee share on that, and we'll play it through. It's 3 minutes and 50 seconds or something like that, folks. So here we go.
We will not be dragged out of the European Union against the wishes of the Scottish people. That's absolutely crystal clear. And I think even more so now.
Pretty good, eh?
Aye. That's courtesy of the Indian Ninja, Salvo, Dave Llewellyn, Sarah Sawyer, whoever. That's courtesy of that movement. Thank you very much for putting it out. It gets you it gets you wondering, especially when they target Dave. You know, I know Dave's sense of humour. I think I know his sense of humour a bit anyway. Remember the 5th of November, and it's like, well done.
If only, yeah.
Aye, and again,
mind you, what would the SNP MPs do then? You know what I mean? What would they poor folk do? You know?
I don't know. They would have to blame the folk. I don't know, that didn't vote for them in Scotland. I don't know.
I'm honestly really starting to think that if and when Scotland gets independence, they're all going to cross the floor and join the Labour Party just to keep their feet under the table. Like, that's how little faith I've got in them now. You know, I just don't think they're interested in it.
Aye, it's well, I mean, I just don't get somebody that doesn't need to get themselves caught in the situations that they get themselves caught in. All right, you need to be representing the office in which you hold.
Yep.
However, getting caught singing the national anthem, the address to the new monarch, things like that, and coming out with the fact that what independence, right? I better be careful with how I word this. What independence supporting person, regardless of right-minded or no, independence for Scotland supporting person says that they're British and what?
Yes. Who?
Right. So
did you see her supplicating herself to King Charles and that, and sitting with bowed over and that? What's all that about, man? Nobody needs to do that. You know what I mean? He's not any better than her. Nobody needs to do that. You know what I mean? I think they're ripping the forgive me, but I think they're ripping the piss now. I really do. Yeah. Forgive me.
Yep.
I think what's happened is, but the only thing I can think that makes sense is that she's sold her soul to the devil, and
Brexit was her choice,
and he's making her do things that are that obvious that
I think she's totally relying on the Greens now to keep her in power, and she's made a deal with them for all this gender recognition changes and stuff. We'll not go into that just now. Made a deal with them, and that's why nearly everybody you see in SNP now is like pro-gender reforms, that kind of stuff. I just don't like the way it's going, and I don't think they're interested anymore, to be honest. I think she's compromised. Got to be.
Well, it's control, isn't it?
Aye, totally.
Control. She's consumed the Greens. They're not going to start questioning her on independence or anything.
Oh, they've got a wee taste of power now, haven't they?
Yeah. And Alba was completely blocked from getting into Parliament.
It's so sad, eh?
On progress for independence.
Yep.
And nobody's getting even close. Not even the members.
No.
I mean, this new thing that I seen last night that's on their agenda for their, is it conference or council now?
Aye.
You know? It's
six constituencies or something, eh? Wasn't it?
It's getting sewn up ever tighter.
Yep, totally. No dissent will be tolerated.
When you watch the way Westminster have absolutely taken the piss out of her over the last wee while, you know, having to be lockstep, having to be the tea trolley at COP26, not putting the flags out in her own house.
Shocking,
you know,
aye.
It's obvious. It's staring us in the face.
Yep.
When they show you who they are, believe them the first time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Well, let's talk a wee bit about Westminster, because we've got to do a wee bit of Tory bashing, right? No, and we're going to keep consistent with the Tory bashing that we're going to do, because there was a mini budget that was carried out just the other day, actually, and it seems to favour the rich elite.
Can't figure that one out, can you?
And it's hard to. I can't quite put my finger on what they think, why they would do that, and no help out the poor, right? I can't quite put my finger on it. It might be something to do with that's who they work for. It could be something to do with that. I don't know, right? But listen, I'm not making any accusations here because I've not got the information. But what we will do is we'll have a wee look at some of these people first of all, and we'll do a wee screen share, right? Because you might have seen this, right? This was at a funeral.
Who behaves like that at a funeral?
Well,
You know,
it's
Any funeral.
it's especially when it's the
They're
monarch.
no
I mean,
normal people. They don't. They're not held to the same standards as normal people are. It's just not normal. You know, I think maybe he's just made a deal with somebody there, and he's maybe just found out his hedge fund that he was betting on the pound crashing further's made another couple of £1 million or something. I bet that's what it was.
aye, well, there was footage for another angle that looked as if it was when the minister was making the address to Boris Johnson. Right, we'll stop that.
Aye.
Right, we'll stop that there.
Aye,
And
look
it
at Carrie.
Aye, right, and it was as if she just turned around and says to him at this point, she's talking about you. Right,
Aye, that's what she said to him.
Right, this was for another angle, right? So anyway, we're not going to go and show that one, but what we'll say is there's another wee video clip coming up with Kwasi Kwarteng talking about what was it, the mini budget, and he was at the dispatch box or something like that. So let's try and get this one lined up and just get your thoughts on the people.
Are we allowed to swear?
Of course, we're after. I was going to say we're after the watershed. There is no watershed. We're getting absolutely shafted from all angles, and we're not allowed to call these people scum. I don't give a fuck what people say about them. At the end of the day,
escape, man. We've no escape.
Aye.
I don't.
Well, we have, but we need a political party to do it for us. You know, it's a political thing.
I don't think a political solution is the answer. I think it needs to be a people-led solution. It needs to be a citizen-led solution.
But the English folk are not. I don't think they're interested, man. They're getting shafted left, right, and centre, same as we are.
Well,
but they just don't seem to be interested.
I agree with that. Actually, I agree with that. It's as if they're cowed as well. It's as if they're under some sort of control that they can't think for themselves.
The news is
would it be fair to say that?
We're not seeing it.
That's right, John.
You know, if there's protests down south, we're not seeing it on the news.
Aye,
and there was a protest going on the very same day as the Queen was getting laid to rest. About that young black guy that got shot for no reason at all, Chris Cabba.
Aye, Chris Cabba, that's right. And they tried to pass it off as people that were mourning the arrival of the funeral cortege, the empty box.
There's regular demonstrations against Israel, against Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people. Not a thing on TV showing. You know, it's just we're being gaslighted all the time. We're just constant gaslighting.
Absolutely, and let's have a wee look. This was the other wee video clip with Mr. Kwarteng talking to Laura Kunsberg.
You've made the choices to give more money back to people at the very top. Is it a good time to be rich in the UK?
What I'm focused on is tax cuts across the board, and that's why we brought forward the 1p cut in the basic rate, which I'm not sure what Labour are going to do about that. I think Andy Burnham was suggesting that they would reverse that, which it poses more burdens on ordinary people. And that's why...
You just said you wanted to focus it across the board. It is absolutely the case that the changes you have made, the tax cuts you will bring in, favour overwhelmingly people at the very top.
They favour people right across the income scale, and that's what's most important. Actually, one of the things that I really did agree with Sir Keir about is that it's British people that are driving economic growth, but many people, most people actually, work in businesses. The interests of a small business owner or a small business operator are absolutely aligned with the people who work in those businesses. We need to create
jobs.
jobs.
Saying this phrase across the board. Only people who earn more than £155,000 will be net beneficiaries of what you've set out.
That's not true. I mean, if we look at the fact that
That's since 2019. If you put what you announced on Friday together with what this government has done since 2019, that is the case.
So looking at the Friday statement, we've actually put more money into people's pockets. That's why we've reversed the national insurance increase, which I think was not a good policy, and we've reversed that. And also we're bringing forward the cut in the basic rate, and there's more to come. We've only been here 19 days. I want to see over the next year people retain more of their income, because I believe that it's the British people that are going to drive this economy, and that's why I want people to retain more of the income that they earn.
Right, so that wasn't him at the dispatch box, that was him talking to Kunsberg. But again, the blatant, he was asked the question, and
somebody's lying, eh?
It's Trumpism, barefaced lies, isn't it?
It is, it's unbelievable, man. Nobody's got the temerity or the cojones to challenge them on anything. You know, the whole of the mainstream media is on their side, and you'll never get their side of the story. It's like the Ukraine-Russia conflict. You'll never get Ukraine side of the story. You know, we're being gaslighted on a constant basis by these people, and the sooner we're independent, the better. It can't happen quick enough. Even if it fails, even if I've got to pay another 5% tax, I'm quite happy to do that, just to get away from them.
That's every reason for the SNP to stand up and say, we are not taking this shit. You know?
And now,
now,
just you could have wrote this. So now that they've cut the taxes in England, all the Tories and all the Scottish Tories, your Scottish Unionist parties are all piling on the pressure for Nicola Sturgeon to follow suit. I think if she does, I think we'll know for certain what's happening here.
Well,
you know?
I mean, you're expecting Nicola Sturgeon to follow suit with certain things, right? And here's something that's happened with the SNP over the past week and a half, 10 days. This person, they thought it was fine to appoint this person as the. What was it that appointed them as again?
He works for something. He works for somebody down in Westminster. Probably works for Alan Smith, I'm guessing.
It's like we're expecting what? We're expecting the SNP to act to the way that they want to hold the Tories to act, to decency, in an ironic. I can't believe that I'm actually saying this in 2022, right? Where they promoted a known Bex pest, and complained after Chris Pincher, and then complained that the SNP complained that well that's ridiculous, and you should sack that person. That person being the Egypt ex-PM, who sent more Ukrainians to their death before he finished up, ironically. Well, we're on the subject. I've lost my train of thought. Right, but anyway.
Patrick Grady.
Right. So then you've had Patrick Grady. Then you've had the other one, the Jordan,
Patricia Gibson.
Well, Patricia Gibson, but then she's back in favour again. Then you've got the councillor Jordan Linden. David Linden's brother or nephew or something. So if you're expecting the SNP to hold themselves to their own accountabilities as far as what they hold the Tories to, it's like the world's flipped, right? And I'm saying, right, well, wait a minute. How come we've got to suffer? The innocent people that have got to tolerate all of this, this change and progression as long as yous do everything we tell yous today and be inclusive to everybody except yourselves.
Because another bunch of carrots. We'll have a vote next year.
So where are we as a society when you've got
there's a bigger picture, Peter. There's definitely a bigger picture coming into view when you look at.
Tell me, Jan, what do you think the bigger picture is then?
Well, when you watch the RT thing on the anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, it was obviously infiltrated. It was orchestrated, the toxic atmosphere, expelling. their members, just the same as SNP are currently doing, and taking tighter and tighter control. Yep.
Absolutely.
On the Labour side, they were ousting a socialist. On the SNP side, they were gaining the power for, the top brass, taking it away from the membership. But it's the same playbook. And when the left is broken, the right prosper.
Yep.
And they bang through the will of the people at 51% in an advisory referendum with Russian interference.
Absolutely.
It was cheated. Definitely cheated. I mean, Cambridge Analytica, the overspending, the dark money. And the same thing on the snap election, or the get Alex Salmond out election, as I think it was.
Yep.
Because he was stood there with 56 MPs and Scotland was getting a meaningful vote, and then suddenly with a snap election that's awash with dark money.
Aye, absolutely.
The wealth hegemony somewhere is in control of the lot. Sturgeon, Starmer, Johnson Trust, the whole blooming lot of them.
Totally. It's the neocon behind the scenes. There's all these big neocon money men. Ben Elliott is your classic one, eh? That's him. He basically financed the whole Brexit thing, channeled money to Aaron Banks and stuff,
The fossil fuel lobby.
Aye.
Well, fracking and oil drilling.
Coming to a central belt of Scotland near you very shortly, no doubt. Thanks to the internal market bill.
Yes, which slid through while Joanna Cherry was getting threatened by these trolls.
Yep.
And offered game and backbenched by her colleagues.
Yep. It's like they're doing it on purpose, eh?
Aye.
That's shocking, like. I think America's one worth keeping an eye on in the next few weeks. Excuse me, to see what happens with Trump, because he's going down, and he'll take everybody with him. I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's happening there, but he's going to jail, like. And who knows? It could come out what's happened with Putin, his interference in Trump's election, interference in the Brexit vote. That'll all come out, and hopefully it'll take a lot of Tories with him.
It's all too easy to blame Putin, but Putin might have been working on Conservative instructions. I mean, he
could have been, aye.
Orders.
Well, look at Boris Johnson putting the son of an ex-KGB major in the House of Commons, Dmitry Lebedev. He's a lord.
All these Conservative donors in the fossil fuel lobby are going to make a killing with replacing Russian oil and gas to the EU.
Absolutely.
It's all been set up with cables and God knows what.
It's to protect the petrodollar. This is all protecting the petrodollar. This is what Ukraine's about as well. They stopped the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, was stopped with about 100 kilometres to go before it reached German land. They stopped that under American pressure, and now Putin's just turned the valves off for Nord Stream 1 that supplies most of the gas to Europe that goes into Germany across the Baltic Sea. He's just turned the valves off on that as well now, until we drop what's the word I'm looking for? The sanctions against him and stuff. So he's starving. He's actually using his power now, which is fine by me, to turn off the gas for Germany and Europe. And just as it would happen, America's reached a deal with the EU to supply LNG. So they're shipping LNG from America to the EU all the time now, making a killing. BP and Shell are making billions and billions of profit, and they're scared to put a windfall tax on them to help the poor people out and the homeless out.
It's not a question. It's not a question of scared. When BP first went from, is it Anglo-Persian oil?
That's right, Anglo-Persian, yep.
It was all the elites that bought in. They're all the shareholders.
Yeah.
And when you look at it's our soldiers that are sent to Iraq or whatever, the oil is Kuwait.
Yep.
That's all for private interests. That's all
theft.
For private profits.
Just theft. Stealing from poor people. They've done it for centuries.
Yep.
Even as far back as the Crusades, that's what that was about, just stealing land off of poor people, basically.
Yeah.
Aye. Right. Let's bring it a wee back up to date a wee bit, because know that we've went after it, but for the Crusades, I was thinking about there. Bringing it back on today a wee bit. And we'll talk about because there's things happening in Scotland that an attack on women. If you ask me, it's an attack on the society that we know. It's an attack on families. It's an attack on safeguarding for kids. So we're going to come on to that wee bit. Before we do that, I just want to say hi to everybody that's tuned in and that's to watch us online. Without going through everybody's name, thanks very much to Euro and to Pa and to Karine. I'll end up going through everybody's name here, won't I? Dave, Remo, Frankie says that the guy Cameron that we shared earlier on is the Equalities Officer for London SNP.
That's right, Cameron Downing.
Aye. And to everybody else who's tuning in online, we'll come back to that in a wee second. Right, there was a wee clip that I was going to play because there's things happening in Scotland, or potentially happening in Scotland that aren't happening anywhere else in England or in Wales just yet. But in Ireland, they're where they try to bypass these things, where it's basically self-ID, and as a result of that, there's things changing where it gives guys the right, if they feel that a woman, how you would know what a woman feels like if you're a guy. I don't know, right? Because you're a guy, right? And you'll never know what a woman feels like. But anyway, that you can go into their safe spaces, you can play in their sports teams, and you can go into the jails and things like that. That you can the women's estate, which again, we're in 2022, and you would think that anybody that was thinking like that, was thinking that that's not right, right? There's something wrong with that. There's an ulterior motive to it, right? And one of the things that's coming about is shops are getting away, making things unisex, right? So I'm going to share a wee video here, and then we'll go into something else after the back of that.
Okay.
So first things first, let's share this wee clip here.
I probably shouldn't be doing this when I'm still emotional, but I feel like I need to get the word out there. So I was just in Primark in Cambridge, and I feel really stupid being emotional about this, but yeah, I was trying on some clothes, and it was a unisex changing room, which I'm really for, and I love that because, you know, it makes everyone feel included. But twice, 2 men opened the curtain, walked in on me. Luckily both times I was wearing fully clothed, but I could easily not have been. And it was 2 different people, clearly from the same group, and there was probably 100 changing rooms available. So it's not like, you know, it was like, oh, is someone in here or not? It was, you know, clearly. Yeah, the first time it was like as they walked in they did it, and then the second time was one of them said to the other one, oh, like, have you tried it on, like, can I see? And then yeah, he opened it, and both times like I was so shocked, and I was like, oh, sorry, like as if it was my fault. But yeah, I have to say though, Primark have been amazing. They were really, really good about it. Yeah, they have walked me back to my car and everything because I was scared. Apparently it's not the first time it's happened, and security are watching back the tapes and seeing if they can find who it is. But yeah, I just want to say to people, please be careful, and if you go in the changing room, try not go on your own. I will never be doing that again. I would rather take it home, try it on, and then take it back and get refunded. So yeah, stay.
Right, so stop that there then. Jan, I'll come to you first on that. Have you seen that clip first of all?
Yeah, I've seen it earlier on today.
What was your thoughts when you seen it? What?
Well, it's a gaslight, isn't it? And it's a very deliberate lateral warfare that's been top down, government sponsored. Basically, there's one There's two competing factions for one space. They've created this. It's bound to create arguments and tensions. And when there's arguments and tensions, then the government's, it's like you're busy fighting here while they're doing something over there. It's all deliberate, is my thoughts on it. And the other thing I noticed was for Women Scotland won a case against the Scottish Government and a whopping payout. There's another
So with
case.
with that video in particular, because we'll talk about the Scottish Government, but with that video in particular, the thing that struck me for the young lassie was that like, she apologised for like feeling for having to share that, right?
Aye.
For a start, like
it's very typical, yep.
And then she still tried to stick up for like I'm usually for this, for unisex toilets,
inclusivity,
rooms, and still try to kind of give leeway to after what's happened, because at the end of the day, I mean, since that the Primark or Primark as I call it, has since tweeted to say that red flags was something to do with people who call it Primark or something like that. I don't usually shop in that place or something. That was what they tried to write it halfway the day, and it's like they've doubled down on after if they did say about that young lassie about we've had a lot of instances like this reported, then they've doubled down on what the public persona that they've put across, and know the private information that they've shared with that lassie. You know that well, it's all right and it's inclusive and we're allowed this because these things don't happen. Things that never happen we're dealt with Scottish Government. You know,
this is where we have to get Scottish. A spade is a spade.
Yep.
You know, this
Absolutely.
is where we can't let them bully us out of the truth.
Aye,
you know,
a man is a man and a woman's a woman.
And we've got,
yep.
and we've got to have this. If you don't get the strength to stand up and say the truth, my God, you've no got nothing.
You just get arrested now, though, don't you?
Well,
terrible. That's what we're coming to.
You only get arrested for certain things. There's other things that seem to be more, I would say, would be more concerning of late. And it's this thing here that you may well have seen, and if you haven't, then buckle up, folks, because as Robin McAlpine said in his latest blog this week, if you're no angry yet,
you're not paying attention.
You're not paying attention, right? Now, this isn't the end of the day with what necessarily end of the day with what Robin was talking about. However, give your thoughts on this, if you don't mind, folks.
This was the
Right. So there's
Aye.
a couple of pictures that we'll show later on.
Yeah.
That's just odd, is it? It's just
Well-
who would take their kids to that anyway, you know?
I don't know. I would like to think that you would think most folk would go, nah.
Yeah.
That's in Tennessee as well. That's one of the most socially conservative states in America.
Aye.
You know, that's amazing, man.
Even when I was on holiday, it's like, and I know that like Scottish people, like when you go on holiday and you take your wains on holiday, sometimes you keep your wains out a wee bit later and things like that than what you would usually, right? Because you don't want to end up, you don't want to end up with a Madeleine in the can situation like some folk, you know. So you take your wains and you kind of because you're not always out drinking, you're out and you're maybe enjoying the company, a meal or what have you, and it's a wee bit late. I've seen myself when people like that come into the establishments, because when you're abroad at night time they come in, which is because it's a night time, it's an adult entertainment as far as I'm concerned. I've seen me take my wains out of places like that because it's no for wains. That's how I was brought up. It was a case of
who's been to a show like that? I certainly haven't.
No, I wouldn't. I'd rather have my eyes pecked out.
But the point that I noticed somebody had made on Twitter is it's not for the children. It's for the ones that's dressed up. It's for their titillation at the children's responses, their reactions. That's what they're getting off on.
Exactly.
And when you think of it that way, it's rather sick and twisted.
And that's how they drive a wedge between the families, because you'll maybe have one parent going, oh, it's innocent. Well, the other parent's going, well, no, it's no. And that's the start. And then you get where it's in the schools and the rich schools, and they can tell, well, this is if you feel like this, then this is what you are. And
you're some kind of phobe.
Yeah.
And here, what you can do is you can get chemically castrated. You can get chemically castrated.
Yep.
Chemically sterilised. But we take medication that you're not allowed, because you're not allowed to tattoo, but you can decide to have this against your parents' wishes and against this. Right. And they're attacking all the tenets of our normality. You know. There's something else which I'll go into share, but look, because it's getting advertised more and more, right? This drag queen story
everywhere, man. It's on MasterChef now. You watch the latest MasterChef?
No.
Celebrity MasterChef. That's only one of the things that I like cooking. So that's one of the things I watch. There's a big drag queen on that as well. You want to see the state of this thing, man. Honestly, it's just overt, shove it in your faces now.
The live and let live attitude I kind of take, but not this taking women's places and, getting, titillated by children's reactions.
Shocking, man. They're trying to normalise it.
I think the trans lobby are as abused in this as the women. It's government playing here and inciting something. It's not so much the trans folk as the allies. Now, who's recruiting allies, for God's sake? Where's that coming from?
I know, they're pretty violent too, pretty abusive.
But certainly all the money's coming from government.
I think the money's coming from big pharma, I reckon, because they're making a fortune off all these drugs that they're giving these teenagers and that, Well, it's got to be a big pharma.
It's funny you should mention that, because AstraZeneca, they've done a sponsorship deal with my hometown club, Hamilton Academicals, for £4,000. It was in the Hamilton Advertiser this week. And AstraZeneca are getting a wee bit of a tough time, as are other providers of the clot shot. But we'll keep it on. We'll keep it on this year. The drag queen story hour, because I was saying that it's getting closer and closer. Did you ever see this advertised anywhere? The Stirling Smith Old Toll Booth presents, under the ABC, a storytelling and sing-along cabaret for kids, Toll Booth, Jail Wind, Stirling, October the 14th, 2 p.m. till 3 p.m. Entry £3 per person. Event Scotland is putting that on. Museum Galleries Scotland, Year of Stories 2022. And let's have a wee. There's another wee one here. Oh, this is obviously off their page, I would imagine. This is who's going to be performing. Oh, would you look at that? I mean, I can't see the appropriateness for kids to anywhere.
I mean, see the art in it, you know, really.
it's just for the sake of it, really, because they can, I think, you know, it's just, that's what it is. I mean, keep it in the bedroom, you know what I mean? Just do what you want to do, but don't thrust it in kids' faces, you know?
I've got very
terrible,
determined, you know, very distinct attitude in this. And once we start to realise that the elites, they don't need the manufacturing base, they don't need the foot soldiers to take the bullets, they don't need the herd. And we are the herd. And this sterilises and controls the herd one way or another. And it incites the lateral warfare, it distracts from what government's doing. It's all part of, I don't know, some ideological change that's coming from the right wing.
I think they're just trying to distract everybody now, just so they can complete their mission. I actually think they're trying to destroy the UK because they know they're going to get voted out in 2024. They're just trying to give as much money to their big mates as possible, take as much as possible out of the economy, and leave Labour to pick the pieces up in 2024. And meanwhile, we're all starving and can't feed our kids and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's shocking. Need a revolution. We need to take to the streets and start pulling the place to bits.
Again, there are many countries across Europe and the wider world out in protest at what's happening.
Yep.
I don't know if you're paying attention to the food supply and how there seems to be mysterious fires taking place in storage centres across the Western world.
No. Is there?
Oh, aye. There's all these fires breaking out in all these food storage plants across the Western world.
Right.
Enough.
I never knew that.
And it's again, it'll all get put down to climate change. It'll all get put down to this is happening. But it seems to be funny how it's consistent with specific places that store things of use for mass
consumption.
Aye. So people are saying that the World Economic Forum are the cause of it, and that's why countries are out in different countries across Europe. They're out protesting. Farmers are out protesting. Workers are striking in certain places. So there's a lot of questionable things.
There's a lot of disquiet going about the new. I think there's a big cauldron boiling the new, and it's going to come to a point where there's going to be a national strike anyway. And I'm amazed that it hasn't happened yet. That's what we need. We need a national strike. Get the government out. You know, they've no mandate to govern anyway. Just get them out. Have a general election. You know.
Well, I'm.
But I like too, Clive. I like what Stanmer's Tory light.
No. We just need independence. You know, we need a way. We need a way for the whole shooting match. Let's make our own mistakes. Let's not get dragged down with the ship. Let's just do it. There's no reason why we can't. Why no Scotland? Why can we not succeed as an independent nation?
Why no Scotland? Indeed. Right. Well, here you go. Right. That's nice. That's well done. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a wee something here, and hopefully some of our regular viewers and subscribers will know. Obviously, it's a Scottish independence supporting live stream and podcast and the thing that we do here. So bear with at the beginning of this, because there's a what do you call it, a Union Jack that you might not really want to see, but if you bear with it gets
is it a burning one? I quite like seeing that.
No, it's not burning. However, there's some good words to it, so we'll put this on.
That must be racist.
It'll be something, no doubt.
I mean, the butcher's apron is a political flag anyway. So
it's not a flag of a country, is it?
no, that's not a flag of a
No.
country. So let's have a wee see what you think of this, right?
My generation. I'm part of a fearful generation, and I refuse to believe that I can change the world. I realise this may be a shock, but an independent Scotland will thrive is a lie. The UK is better together. So, in 30 years, I'll tell my children I vote with my head. I have my priorities straight. The Union is more important to me than Scotland. As the experts tell me, 30 years from now, I would regret voting yes. I do not believe that I need to live in a country of my own making. In the future, the Union will prioritise Scotland's needs. And I completely reject any suggestion that Westminster only wants us for our resources. The fact is, my generation is fearful and unambitious. It is foolish to presume that we need change. Or is it? We need change. It is foolish to presume that my generation is fearful and unambitious. The fact is, Westminster only wants us for our resources. And I completely reject any suggestion that the Union will prioritise Scotland's needs. In the future, I need to live in a country of my own making. I do not believe that 30 years from now I would regret voting yes, as the experts tell me. Scotland is more important to me than the Union. I have my priorities straight. I vote with my head. So, in 30 years, I'll tell my children the UK is better together is a lie. An independent Scotland will thrive. I realise this may be a shock, but I can change the world, and I refuse to believe that I am part of a fearful generation. On September the 18th, vote yes.
Right. So
If only, yeah.
if only, right? Well,
Heartbreaking, man.
it still hurts.
Heartbreaking.
It still hurts to even think about it.
Me too, man. It's heartbreaking.
Oh, what's the story in that one? I've still got a scar on that. It's one of the ones that even after 8 years, and well, past 8-year anniversary was last week, and what we're supposed to, like, I'm just going to come out and ask you this, Clive. Do you think that there's got to be an independence referendum in 2023?
No.
No. Jan?
Nope.
I think there's going to be a referendum on a written and final UK constitution with a devolution max option. And I think that's where the herd's going to be.
Do you think I'll go for that? Do you think I'll go for Devo Max, Jan?
I wouldn't know.
But do you think the herd will?
It's a proven phenomenon in sales that people will go for the middle option.
If that's on the ballot, we know for sure we're screwed. Really, you know. I think what could maybe happen, and they haven't said this, but they mentioned, you know, the Section 30 thing is going through the Supreme Court right now. I think in the middle of next month they're going to say yes or no. They're going to say no, and then if there's a general election before 2024, it should be run as a plebiscitary election just for Scottish independence. But they've not said they're going to do that either, you know. But we don't need their permission. Let's just dissolve the union.
Well,
we don't need their permission.
Yes, Clive, but the Tories are taking control of the Supreme Court, and they're cutting off the EHCR, the Human Rights Act, where you're not allowed to be held in slavery. You know, the doors are closing as Sturgeon's got all the time in the world.
And they're sitting watching it happen to us, just like we got dragged at the European Union against our will. They sat and watched it happen.
Just
see
like
if they put as much effort into just let England and Wales have their Brexit. If they'd just said that and then concentrated on getting us independence, we'd probably been independent now. But they sat and watched it happen. They've enabled it. And now, internal market bill, that overrides anything to do with devolution. They can do what they want to us now.
They haven't achieved anything, but they didn't even hold the line. Why should their rights be getting torn up for something they didn't elect?
We're going to get a British Bill of Rights now, to replace the ECHR. God help us.
And we have to get in the EHCR and get a court case going. We have to get in the UN and get a court case going.
Definitely.
So that's why we need to get
before
on to liberation.scot and we need to get registering for the liberation movement. So,
well, I think if the sorry, Peter, I think if the Supreme Court says no, that we can't go independent with any means at all, that then means we're a colony. We've been colonised. And the UN's got laws against that, you know. So we can't be an equal member of the union and a captive at the same time, you know what I mean? Who would England have to ask if they wanted to go independent? You know, it's a farce.
Clive, that's why we're going to get a UK-wide referendum on a written constitution, because that's how they're going to bypass it.
Yep.
Because they can't say we're a colony, and they'll say, well, you can have a choice on independence when we decide to give this written constitution, knowing full well that we'll go for Devo Max. They just have to make the both sides, the both extremes, a bit scarier, and everybody will plump for the middle.
Shocking, eh? Surely no, man. I'd hate to think that was true, but who knows? If it's UK-wide, aye, probably.
Aye, if you look for the centre option or that, Google it, you know, sales techniques.
Aye.
It's fact.
Aye.
So well, I hope you're wrong, but
we're going to play, Jan. This is it for you and for any of the viewers or subscribers who didn't hear Clive on the radio, having a wee shout at, well, not a shout, having a wee
a forceful exchange of opinions.
Aye, a forceful exchange of a very apt explanation for it. Here we go. This was the advert that I put for this week's podcast. So,
your reaction to that news? Good morning.
Hi, Nick.
Hello, sir.
I think it's frankly hilarious.
What is hilarious about it?
Sundown coronation.
Right.
But what's hilarious about it, in my opinion, and in the opinion of most of the people in Scotland, I would say, is the fact that we've still got a royal family in the year 2022.
Right.
Because we have no place in a modern civilised society where you're afforded massive...
Excuse me, sir. Well, no, because you started by saying you speak for most of the people of Scotland. I need you to back that up somehow.
Yeah, well, I'm a working-class Scotsman.
Right.
Everybody I know in Scotland...
Okay, so for everyone you know... Okay, now hold on, sir. So let's just clarify. You speak on behalf of most of the people you know, not most of Scotland. So on you go.
Yeah. The majority of people I know couldn't care less if the monarchy existed or didn't exist.
Okay.
I think the fact that we're talking about having a slimmed-down monarchy, are we meant to be happy about this, Nick? You know, when people can't heat their houses, people are sending their kids to school hungry, you know?
I don't think you would be...
It makes my blood boil, Nick.
Okay.
When you hear people like yourself bullying Meghan Markle, that's what you're doing, because she's a black woman or mixed race.
Wow. How did you get...
sick, man.
How did you get from a conversation about a possible slimmed-down coronation to your suggestion that I've been bullying Meghan Markle? How did you get to that?
Right-wing gammon media personalities have been bullying Meghan Markle since the word go. Look at it during the Queen's period of mourning. Every time she held Harry's hands, Jesus, man, it was unbelievable.
What did I say?
Remind
me, excuse me, that's quite a serious... Can you tell me what I said every time?
Nothing positive to say about her or Harry.
What did I say, Nick? Well, anyway, we're going off the point. Okay, so you don't want a royal family, clearly.
No.
What will you replace? Okay, would you listen? What will you replace it with?
Officer, in my view, choosing without good reason not to be vaccinated is deeply irresponsible. Getting vaccinated, on the other hand, is a civic duty, and it is the most precious gift we can give to others at this time.
Right, so we'll stop that there. That was advert for this week. Right, Jan, I'll come to you, right? Because obviously Clive was part of that conversation, so he'll know about it, right? So you make you know that you've heard it after hearing what Clive had said at the beginning.
You're brilliant, Clive.
Thanks.
For Scotland.
It needs to be said, eh?
Scotland. I mean, the BBC saying there's hundreds of thousands lining the streets in Edinburgh, and then you see in Phantom, whatever, there's dozens, but not hundreds of thousands, and not a butcher's apron on display anywhere. They put up a huge big thing to watch the procession, and nobody's there to see it.
About 20 or 30 folk, I think, turned up.
Aye, it was.
Wonder who paid for that? Was that Edinburgh Council paid for that? Your taxes?
Aye.
It was. Pardon the pun, but it was a wee bit like the exiting monarch. They did. It's somebody's online are saying, well done, Clive, for the clip that you heard. I'll post the link on Clive's page where you can get the full 8 minutes. I think you were on for in total, or the full section lasted, and that was where you having the other
Beatrice.
A
fellow Fifer, allegedly.
Aye. I could give you a map and you could go hunting the new and still no fun in 100 years' time. Right. So I thought it was really good. So I'll put the link on my page. But folk are saying well done. Somebody's asking, I picked up my cup, right? Because I went and get tea ready and I done like that. So somebody's asking, are you reading the tea leaves, Peter? No, I was actually looking going, I can't believe I drunk my tea that quick. It's away. I was wishing for Merit to be hanging.
Mine just gone tea, look.
Aye, it's one of them. I've got a wee backup, a wee drink iron brew.
See
just iron brew.
Just iron brew, mate. I don't drink. It's I'm
nice
boring. I'm boring as fuck, man. Like after you've a heart attack and a stroke, you can never start going, well, I'm a road out here. I think I'll start taking it easy. No, it's because of certain medications that I take. So I just,
right, mate.
I just don't bother now. It's how it goes. I think the last time I had a drink was the Scotland and England game. Oh, that last the thing with it was, and I wasn't having a drink, but it was because it finished nothing each. You would think we won. You would think I was going to have a drink.
Aye.
Right, but it was after it, and it was I get caught up, and I'm having a wee drink here and a wee heart. I mean, before I knew it, I was in a bad place, and the next day I was in an even worse place.
It's good at the time.
That's just like poison to me. It's like, oh no, that's poison. Get away from me.
I wish it was to me.
Rocket fuel.
Is there anything that you want to talk about, Jan? Is there anything particular that you would want to come on about?
Going back to the monarchy, and the sale of the offshore wind. Now I know why they've done it. Why they've got the Scottish government to sign the paperwork. It's in case we go independent and the royalty will still take their cut because it was sold by the representative of Scotland.
Crown Estate.
Yeah.
And
they teamed up to let the royals off with their environmental stuff at Balmoral, didn't they? It was like that fairly recently, and they objected to Andy Whiteman's land reforms.
That's what they need to concentrate on, in my opinion. Need to sort that out big time, eh?
But
nobody in Scotland owns a place, you know what I mean? It's shocking.
It's gentrified.
Oh, totally.
Essentially. That's what look at them in their grouse shooting and.
I'm just going to say that about Pete Wishart.
Tweets. Yeah.
So again, like they've got like the coloniser. They've got too close, and they've got go like the coloniser. And apathetic with them.
They've forgotten where their roots are.
Aye, they're old arse. Here a Scottish, they forgot their old arse when they get a union. It's that simple.
It was the Indian, in India, that's how they kept India. It was they elevated a class to be
caste system.
Aye,
the caste system. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
again,
that's exactly what's happening again.
And
I despair. I really do. I'm just churning all the time now. I really just churning. Wonder what's going to happen next. It's shocking. We just need independence. Never needed it so badly.
I spoke to somebody. It's not the first time I've spoken to them, right? But a fairly placid person, right, in consideration to anything that I know, and they were cursing and swearing at me about what's going on, and I'm like. It's usually it's usually they're getting that for me. It's usually I never get a chance. I'm like, oh, I was caught in the back. I was caught in the back fat. Like, it's landing. It's landing.
All right, somebody's actually woken up now. Then that's good. Eh?
Right. Okay. Oh, all right. Aye. So you've woke up to that, right? Okay. And as you say, it's like everybody's kind of at that stage where they're on the precipice, is it, if that's even the right phrase? Know what I mean? It's like, we're just at that bit. What way have it gone?
The lateral warfare thing.
What way has it gone?
They're tempering the anger with the fear of destitution or poverty or war or whatever.
Yep. But this is what we voted for, in 2014. This is what we voted for.
I think we possibly have to come to it's the establishment. They are all them. They are all corrupt. There's once they're in, there's nothing can stop them. And if they're all working together, we're fucked, basically.
We are, totally. We are. And it's worldwide, kind of all working together worldwide. And I think there's a mass awakening required for everybody. Especially, I think the Enough is Enough campaign and what Mick Lynch is doing, the RMT guy, I think he's bringing it all to the fore now, and I think he's got them terrified. We need a national strike in this country. Just bring the place to a halt for 2 or 3 weeks. See what happens. You know,
Mick Lynch is a candle in the darkness.
Oh, he's brilliant. Brilliant.
Definitely.
So is his sidekick. What's the other guy called? He's brilliant too. But Mick Lynch is a hero. That's my union, by the way. I'm an RMT, and I would suggest that everybody that's listening or everybody that might watch this should go and join a union before it's too late, because they're coming for us. They're coming for us.
Aye, they're coming for the wee guy. It's how it's got to go. There's a couple of other things that we're going to talk about, because there's the Indie March on
Saturday,
the 1st of October. Yep, in Edinburgh.
Yep.
I've got my own thoughts about all under one banner, but it's them that's organising it, and I think everybody should be going out and this is the time to
absolutely
to make your voice or your presence felt.
Yep. Let's make it huge.
Aye, it's one of the ones that you've got a chance to send a message. And I was saying the same about yesterday, and unfortunately that was cancelled, but that's rescheduled to the 8th of October.
Yep.
And again, I didn't agree with that getting put off either. I'll share my opinions. I'll share my opinions. I voiced them at the time. Didn't agree with it. It doesn't mean to say that I don't back that it's going ahead. We still, everybody needs to get out in our numbers and support this, because especially for Scottish independence. Because if you've a look, and if you're honest about the coverage that we go to the last monarch in our journey to the next place, wherever that might be, because I'm no like Liz from Muir of Ord that thinks she's a lizard, right?
Oh, with the chippy, aye.
I'm no Liz for the chippy that thinks she's a lizard, right? Some people do. I'm no that way inclined, right? But she's away at another place, allegedly. If you believe in that as well, there's another place that you believe. So they made it out that where they took doing the Royal Mile, like where it's you're banging elbows walking past somebody that's walking in the opposite direction with you on the same side of the pavement, and they played it out that it was absolutely mobbed with Scottish people out to see the last monarch on our journey, the empty box going by. And it was a load of tourists that were crammed into that wee slot. And that's how I think it was all set up. It was a case, it was political, and it's a case of people running.
Look how popular they are in Scotland.
Aye, no, because there was certain other bits that they showed, and there was one or two folk there. And as we're saying with the memorial, the send-off day, there were big screens, and there was half a dozen folk there. And
$6 million that cost the taxpayer.
Aye, and most of them, like there was one in particular, and it was covered on I'm sure it was the BBC, and that was why I enjoyed it so much. It says that they loved their parents were for England, and they would have wanted to have their kids to be in England for the monarch passing. But they were talking for Edinburgh.
It's a million miles away. It's hard to get to, like, you know.
And I need to laugh at these things now.
I just despair.
It's so infuriating that, hold on, this is supposed to be a serious broadcaster that's putting these messages out.
And we're just getting gaslit, man.
That one in Channel 4 that's trying to claim that the Queen was related to, I don't know, various ones back in the Scottish royal family. There was no possible. It could have been, you know. It was just
there's a direct. She's a direct descendant of Robert the Bruce, you know.
That's William Wallace, mate.
It's there's again.
But you know, going back
it depends what coverage you want to believe, because on all the different channels they made a lot of different gaffes on all the different channels. There are some of them that have got a bit of fact to them. However, the way that they put it across, it's as if that, well, no, they were Scottish.
Oh, no,
no, you're not. They're not Scottish.
Just because you wear a kilt doesn't mean you're Scottish. You know what I mean?
They like Scotland. They like coming here. They like ruling ours.
I like shooting deer and blasting wee birds out there and that all the time.
Great all
fun,
resources and all that stuff. They liked all that. But they would tell you that they were English. It was the Crown of England.
House of Battenberg, is it no? I don't know what the original name was. Battenberg or Saxe-Coburg or something.
Saxe-Coburg.
Before they took the name Windsor,
Aye.
So,
Battenberg, a bit of fruitcake. Aye, but again, like I think you've got to try and laugh off some of the things, or else you go daft. But there's a point where you need to say enough's enough. Like I was really angry. See, with when they cast the red, white, and blue onto the
Wallace statue in there.
Wallace Tower in there.
Aye.
Again, there are things that it's just offensive, you know, but you're not allowed to be offensive to them, right? You're not allowed to be offensive. Well, they can fuck off.
It backfired. The day of the Queen's funeral, what was trending at number one? William Wallace.
William Wallace.
Yep.
I thought that's the most suspicious thing yet.
That's pretty bad, Pretty bad. But look, Peter, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to my night shift, mate.
No worries, buddy. Right, Clive, well, I'll let you duck off. Thanks very much for joining us on the live stream, mate.
Okay.
If you known you were going to night shift, I would have sped it up a wee bit. So
that's all right, man. No worries. It's been a pleasure.
And it's always good to catch up with you, mate. And I'll speak to you shortly. All right, buddy. I'll let you go now.
Keep out of trouble.
I will try to. You too.
Cheerio, John. Nice meeting you.
No, you too,
Right, Jan. So I'm going to talk about something else. Now that Clive's away, it's something I'm going to share from my page actually. So let me find it first on my page, and we'll get your thoughts on this, right? Because like, up until a couple of weeks ago, the Claim Me Right was a conspiracy, right? Don't know if you knew about that, right?
Aye.
The Claim Me Right was a conspiracy up until a couple of weeks ago, according to certain elected representatives.
You would think, you know, if they were serious, you would go down every available avenue.
Aye.
It's obvious. It's so obvious.
It's obvious I'm not serious.
Another game. Yep.
Right, so let's have a look at this wee video clip, right? This was shared somewhere. You can let me know your thoughts once you've done
it. We will have no clean food. We will have no natural health. Codex Alimentarius will destroy the population and our fertility by weaponizing our food on a global basis. And because we know that this is happening, if we elect to do nothing, then we become part of the evil. Evil? Yes, evil. Because this is all motivated by a clear, well-articulated, and very well-developed genocidal agenda. As hard to believe as it was back then in 2004, lots of people understand now that there is a genocidal depopulation agenda, which I call a war against the population of the earth. The World Health Organization, the United States government, the Council on Foreign Relations, the United Nations, and many other similar organizations have joined together in a shared vision. It's a wonderful vision. It's the vision of a sustainable planet. There will be blue skies everywhere. There will be clean, limpid water running everywhere. There will be green grass, and there will be cows lowing peacefully in the distance. And you and I and our children and our children's children will no longer exist. We will not be there to appreciate this beautiful, sustainable world because we will have been eliminated by the elite, by the globalists. since we, in their vision, are useless eaters.
Right, so, Jan, I'll come to ask you, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's hard to grasp the. It would be a huge conspiracy for something like that. It's hard to get your head around it, but there's certainly things like a pandemic where public health was shut out and behavioural scientists brought in, when the narrative's the same, the Build Back Better. Now we've discovered that these inoculations, these jabs were dangerous.
The clot shots. Well, just while you're mentioning that, let's have a wee look at this, because this was posted on the company's page that you'll see in a wee minute, the medical services page, and then it was removed. So, what's your thought? This?
I've been into fashion since I can remember. But one day I had a stomachache so bad I didn't want to do anything. The team at New York Presbyterian said it was actually my heart. It was severely swollen, something called myocarditis. But doctors gave me medicines and used machines to control my heartbeat. They saved me. So now I can become the next great fashion designer. I've been into fashion since I can remember.
Stop that there.
But one day I just...
Right.
Now this was not prevalent before COVID.
And
it certainly wasn't. And
it was built to keep your granny alive, to save your granny. You know what I mean? Wash your hands and stuff like that. And now, to save coughs and sniffles, they've gave people heart attacks, strokes, blood clots, palsy, all of these things that keep on cropping up. There are people that have lost limbs as a result of the clot shots. And
Big Pharma don't make any money if they make you better.
Well,
they only make money if they keep you sick.
Aye, and some folk, it's hard to kind of if we have a look at certain things that have been said, and we say, oh well, hold on, this is conspiracy, and that's conspiracy, and this is conspiracy, and that's conspiracy, right? But the new monarch has spoken about the methadone chick, who's the new monarch, has spoken about what do you call that? Genetics and all that, right? He's spoken about that. He's spoken about and there's been talk of all these things happening climate wise, and it's getting as if driven to Agenda 2030. I mean, I'm showing a series of pictures here, because when I look at what's happening in Scotland, right?
Yep, we've been lockstep all the way. Here homes the lot.
It seems to be that, well, we're getting the wrong sort of
that photo. Oh,
aye. So it seems as if we're getting the wrong sort of representation.
It's entirely possible that the monarch's under the thumb of the right wing. That picture that appeared with him taking the suitcase of money, and of all of the men that were involved with the Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking, we only ever heard about one. One of them, Prince Andrew.
Well, and you know what I've noticed as well, just now that you're talking about
the Fixed Term Parliament Act took sovereignty away from the Queen. I don't know whether is it a constitutional monarch or just a and we're not a constitutional monarchy anymore. I don't think the Crown can now trump the Parliament.
No, the Parliament, Westminster, it's the Parliament that's sovereign over.
So he's maybe toeing the line, just the same as Nicola Sturgeon or Starmer or
Scotland. Scottish folk are sovereign over the monarchy, is the claim of right. 1689 says. I mean, I'm getting comments are coming in saying Charles is on board with WEF and the Great Reset, which I've seen. I've seen a lot of things that say that, and when you look at some of the things that are happening,
but I mean, he could also be.
But the Vatican apologised for genocide earlier on this year, and that's like, I actually can't believe that. Like, I'm not laughing at genocide, but I can't believe that didn't have more an impact than what it had with the Pope apologising for genocide that had been carried out against the Indigenous people of Canada. And when he's tour to Canada, and there was and nothing was made of it. And I go like, well,
but we're ignoring genocide in Palestine and Yemen and
know, so that's what I'm saying. So it's now getting, these things are now got to become very normal. Oh well, it's all right that we didn't agree with that, so we starved them.
But if you go back to the late 70s, early 80s, there's no way Britain could stand and do nothing for Hong Kong or whatever. And the press would have torn down the politicians.
Aye. Again,
we've
not got a press. We've got a press. We've not got journalists. We've not got investigative journalists. We've got reporters. Aye, people that report information. They don't investigate anything. They report. And if they bother to investigate anything, there would be stuff that would creep up that would scare you right away, and you would go, "Oh, that's."
But
that's dictator material. That
the trouble is, Peter, it works.
Aye,
and we can see it working. And who it works on is the children, and it's the children that are getting gender confused and into these situations where they're either bullying or no bullying, or they're in or they're out, or they're getting subliminals through their social media.
Aye, I agree.
Or their Union Jack branding. It's all targeted. It's the next our generation. They're not going to win. It's the next generation they're after.
There might not be another generation if we all sit in our arses. And like somebody on the chats come on and said there, the internet keeps folk in their houses. I agree with that. Because I'm glad we're finishing up shortly, and I want to finish up by talking about the women in Iran. So it's been a fairly worldwide show the day. The women in Iran are coming out because understanding it was somebody was a woman hadn't covered herself with hijab properly. I don't know if I pronounced that. Apologies, hadn't covered herself with the hijab properly, and was arrested by the morality police, and then in their custody she ended up dying. And then people in Iran have come out and protest and taking their hijab off, or their veil, whatever the right word is for it. Some of them just openly flaunting whatever the decency law is there under the Ayatollahs, and they're protesting about it. And look, that's in a society where the women's rights are even worse than what they are in our society. If you go by the Western reporting there, and if you go by the historical information that's available.
I certainly hope this is the start of Iran getting back to being a secular democratic country, as they were when Britain owned their oil.
But again, Iran used to be allies to an extent before They were turned against one another, and like, it's a case of that Western interference seems to have its way of destabilising stable places. And when I say stable places, you're always got to have outbreaks of conflict to an extent between certain factions. However, when you've got the rulers of the places, then they're in an understanding that this is how everybody works, and then you've got an outside influence coming in and saying, "Oh well, if you do this, then we can do this and we can do that," and it influences the balance of power, shall we say, in a specific area. And that's what the US are. They're complaining about the shift of power that could come as a result of this European conflict, the special operation that's now been stepped up to a full scale mobilisation of the army.
A shift of power's bound to happen because China have all the US dollars.
Aye.
We got hooked on their crappy shit, and China's just sold us it and collected all the money. And India's up and coming. Basically, America and Britain can't keep. They can't keep being the big boy. And this is maybe what we're seeing getting played out now.
Just watch Gremlins if you've not watched Gremlins. Anybody that's out there, if you can watch Gremlins and replace the Gremlins with mobile phones. That's what you need to do. Replace the Gremlins with mobile phones, and like every one of the mobile phones, every one of these services that you can get through a mobile phone is a Gremlin, and that's where we're at. And you've got it starts off that wee cute thing when you're that's good. Some people give them as electronic babysitters, and then they wonder why their wains won't interact with other people, and they will know. I don't get it. Right. Anyway, that's enough for this evening, Jan. So I'm going to say, if you got a final message you want to put out to everybody.
Well, see you at the Festival on the 8th of October. We'll be there.
Yep. If you I take it you're not going to make Edinburgh in the 1st.
No, I'm not.
No, right.
But further out.
If you're, I'll be trying to make to Edinburgh in the 1st. I might not be recording or live streaming. I might actually just be going there just for the sake of the number and showing support. And then the 8th is yesterday. Hopefully there'll be something between now and then. As I say, we've got Dave Llewellyn coming up. I've got another couple that I'm going to be speaking to a councillor from Wales. I've not confirmed the date yet. I'm waiting to confirm the date, so I'm not getting anything out until I confirm that and the names. So that happen to share their views on Twitter about their family and supporting women's rights. So there'll be more about that. So for Tweet Street Scotland, Occupy, for the satirical saltire, for Cinnamon Bridges, for Jan, for our guest Clive Thompson, who was on and he's away to start a night shift. God love him, man. He's away to do a night shift and had to listen to us for an hour and a half before, or an hour and a bit. So Scotland, I love yous. Stay safe and we must be thinking about time to store up for ourselves, surely. Good night, everybody. I'll end the live stream now.